Well, hello again. Somewhere down there in that thicket of plains is the mighty Simcoders Reality Expansion Pack Fortified Beech Baron from Coronado. And as you can see, we're on the ground here at San Luis Obispo Airport with the vineyard in the background there, and a pretty grim looking day around us. You can see some fog and low cloud creeping down onto the mountains, and we're going to do today kind of modification of a flight suggested, I think, by subscriber Wireline, which was basically, hey, wise ass, you're Mr. Hand Flying. Well, why don't you hand fly the thing while doing an old-fashioned IFR flight on radio navigation and steam gauges. And I'm kind of going to do a modified version of that. The reason why is simple. It's not because Wireline's idea is not a good one. I think it's Wireline who suggested it. If it's not, my deepest apologies. But to whomever suggested it, the problem is, as always, this. It's tiny little click spots, and it's accidentally zooming. And so you're encumbered by problems you wouldn't have in the real airplane. And so I sort of shy away from doing it for that reason, only because there isn't quite as much educational content to it as I'd like. Now, having said that, of course, some of my educational material includes sweaty monkey testicle riffs and things like that, so maybe that's not entirely appropriate. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to fly thusly. Let me just chill out track IR here. Can I? Oh, I know why I can't. Whenever you start up a new flight with this, track IR goes to a different profile than the default that you want. And that different profile, yep, see how it says default? I keep setting it as wanting this, which uses the space bar, and the other thing uses the space bar to center it, and the shift space to freeze it, and there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is track IR, I love you and I hate you, is we are going to hand fly this flight. We're going to depart here from San Luis Obispo. We're going to take the Crepe 3 departure, which actually technically kind of flies you out like there to Crepe, and then here, and then we're going to get on the Victor 25 airway. We're going to take it to Wiggle, and then we're going to fly into runway 28 left, and the wind is 280 at 7 knots, very convenient for us. Inconvenient for us is that we are right now below minima. Minima here is 1080 feet, and it looks like overcast now to about 500. So if we do this, and I think we will be deeply, deeply illegal nonetheless. However, we're going to be flying it using GPS, mainly because to do otherwise would just be, well, not only would it be uneducational,
System test okay.
it would, thank you ma'am, it would basically be just you guys watching me be an idiot, and not that there's anything wrong with that. All right, so anyway, we're going to get out of here. We're going to load a procedure. The departure is going to be the Crepe 3, boom, with a transition at Paso Robles, And off for runway 29, that's correct, we'll load that. And then since Paso Robles is an airway entry, load airway V25, and we'll get off at Wiggle. It's a very long airway, as you can see. There's Wiggle. Okay, we'll get off at Wiggle, and we'll load that, and we will put in KMRY. No dilling knobs here. No siree bob. All right, and then we will load a procedure, and that approach will be this one right here with a transition at Wiggle. How do you like that? Load approach. Done. And that's our flight. And that's pretty cool. Alright, so we'll go back, go to our map, make sure we're on GPS, pink needles as it were. That is good. And now that we are, I've set up another view here in xCamera, and that is this view. I've not yet been able to figure out how not to get it to do that little double clutch, that little in and out thing. In Easy Dock, that is because you're changing zoom levels between these things, and in fact I'm not, and I checked, so it's probably something else I don't know how to do. You see what I mean? This is why. What I might do is do one of those old-fashioned flights that you guys, whether it's Wireline or somebody else, I don't know, wants, but I'll probably do it in the 737 with shared cockpit, and then it'll really have a bearing on, you know, the kind of flying you would normally do. All right, so let's pick a vertical speed here. Try not to zoom in while we do it. I know you can set views so that you don't zoom, or so that it doesn't move you. Crap. You see what I mean? This is very annoying. All right, that's reasonable. I'll use the flight director vertical guidance as a flight suggester, and we'll start off in nav mode. We're basically going to fly out almost on runway heading. Basically, if we were doing this with the radios, we would fly, I believe, the back course of the localizer for 11, runway 11, that is. All right, there we go. Downloaded a new version of the software for the Yoke. Let's see, do we have our taxi light on? We do. Beacon is on, nav light is on. We're squawkulating. Yes, we are. And one of the parameters it includes here is prop wash. And you see it has the different maximum, minimum thrust, and it works with that. Just make sure get rid of that. Our flaps work, and the sound for our flaps works. So that's pretty damn amazing, all things considered. Sorry, I'm looking down at my rudder pedals on the floor. All right, well, let's just get out to ye old runway and give it a shot. I can't wait for beta 10 for X-Plane 11 because it promises to include the vaunted flight model fixes. Finally, Austin and others have been tinkering around with it. You know, I'm bouncing around here like one of my tires is blown. I hope that's not the case. Maybe not. All right, so we're going to head out to runway 29 here, and we will depart and fly outbound for, I think it's 12 miles per the SID. Then we will turn and track direct Pasarobles, and then, or thence, as they love to say, we will fly by hand still. Look at that. That's xEnviro. They do a very nice job. And they're not really fully baked yet, so we will thenceforth get on our good friend the Victor 20. The one thing I've not done is gotten altimeter, and I'm not going to do run-ups here. I don't want to waste your time with that, because heaven knows, pardon me, been a long week. Heaven knows I'm not one for digressions, but you know. Okay, get that on. Okay, we want pitot heat definitely, and stall warning heat definitely, windshield heat certainly, prop sync no, lights are all good, mags are good, trim is set, flaps are set. Get our weather here, pardon me, runway's bugged up, and we've got barometric pressure of 3008. Well, I wasn't too far off, but this will get us closer to what our airfield elevation really is. Is it really 900 feet? Is it? I don't think so. Oh, let me tell you, it's, you know, one of those days where it just doesn't pay to get up out of bed in the morning. I don't think the airfield elevation here is 900 feet. No, it's 212 feet. So that means we have got something wrong, and obviously the barometric pressure is not 3008, because that's absurd. And that means this forecast is wonky. San Luis Obispo, right, altimeter 3008. All right, well, then xEnviro is wonky is really what it is. They use a different weather server than many, so we'll set our altimeter this way. Airfield elevation, what was it, 212? Let's find out. 212, how do you like that? All right, good. So it's another way to do it. Or at least it's a sanity check. All right. Everybody knows there's no such thing as sanity clause. All right, there we are. And let's get our strobes on and our landing lights on, and let's get the hell out of Dodge. We're going to be flying into the sunset, which is going to be beautiful. And I think we're good to go. We're probably going to go through close to icing conditions. Let's see, where are we right now? We're at 55 degrees, going up to 8,000 feet, maybe. And look at that. This airport is from Greg Balson, GPB 500, on the org website, the xplane.org website. And look at that stacked concrete EMAS arrestor bed. That's beautiful. If an arrestor bed can be beautiful, that certainly is. All right, just a warning as we get started here. This will have X-Plane's recent, just verify the wind with the windsock, and it's good, recent ground handling problems. So double check that sock. We'll just bear with it here. Give it a little back stick. Do our best not to go nuts on the rudder. Okay, there's 60. There's 80, there's 90, we'll rotate right there, and up we go. And positive rate, and gear up, and into the crap we go. So I'm flying the flight director here. I can see the problem we're going to have already. It is turning us around in the opposite direction. No, it's not. Okay, good. Okay, we're pitched for 120. Bring up our flaps. We'll come back to climb power. Our nose will go down a bit. We'll trim up. And we're over trimmed, as you can see. We'll work on that a little bit. Our props back to 25, sync them up. Not sure why my vertical guidance is weird, but we'll just pretend we're doing this as flight level change. So we'll just pitch for 120 and leave it at that, and just ignore it. Use it for lateral guidance, and we'll confirm that with the HSI, which is centered. Again, we're going up to 8. There we go. Props are nice and even. Look at those clouds. A little slow there. A few updrafts too, which is nice. You know, one thing I haven't encountered in this is X-Plane's famous transitioning between wind layers by knocking you upside the head. So, what's up here? You know what? You know why? No, our vertical speed mode, our guidance is there, but now our guidance is back. Look at that. Alright, well, fine. Possible I didn't arm vertical speed. It is possible. As we come in and out of the soup. There we go. Ah, look at that. Little bits of sunlight there. A little slow. I'm just going to trim down a little bit. Marker for the back course runway 11. So shortly we're going to be making a right turn. How shortly? I'm not sure. Look at that. That's beautiful. Okay, we're 6, coming up on 6. We're performing very nicely, and we're getting balanced. Okay, there's our turn. It's not our turn, we're just got off course. Again, I'm looking at airspeed right now, attitude, and cross-checking with my rate of climb. With any luck, we'll be above the clouds by the time we're done. That was the plan, at least. Back a little bit more, so I can be a little bit more hands-off here. You can see we've settled into about 120 knots here, 1,100 feet per minute. And as we're going up, we're losing engine power, so I'm just going to advance the throttle. You lose about an inch of manifold pressure for every 1,000 feet you go up. And we're coming up on our turn, as you can see. And this is where the autopilot really does come in handy. I mean, you know, I won't pretend otherwise. But you know, it certainly simplifies your life. Okay, 7,500. Start to bring the power back to cruise. You can see we're still doing 120. And as we level off, our airspeed will climb. So we're just sneaking up on 8 grand right now. Sync up our props, and we'll look at the attitude indicator. We'll get ourselves, oops, undershot. Hang on. Caught a bad piece of air as I did that. And right when we come into our turn, of course. Alright, we're just a little bit low, so I'm going to correct as we turn. Look over in a second at the autopilot and see if it has captured altitude. I'm almost certain that it has, just judging by what the flight director needle is doing. So we'll retrim here. I'm putting in a little bit of back trim at the moment, but that's going to come out as the speed builds. I have to trim increasingly nose down. Look at that, I got my heading bug bound to a key. And let's just get on altitude here. Now I'm not doing anything right now, just mainly lightly tweaking the controls. Now as the speed builds up, it's going to want to climb, so I'm going to start cranking in some nose down trim, and then I'm going to hold it with my fingers until the speed climbs to match the trim. And then I'll repeat the cycle. So as the speed builds up in a second, it's going to want to climb, and it is. So we're going to trim down again, and then I'm going to hold it. I'm just going to let this sink just a little bit so we get back to our altitude. Do is tweak the props ever so gently, and time for more trimming down, and we'll just accelerate this way. We are going through what's called a fugoid or fugoid, I'm not sure which, oscillation essentially, as we just gently go up and down until lift builds, and speed builds, then lift builds, then speed builds, etc., etc., etc. And we're right on the magenta line, and we're right on our altitude, and we seem to be above the clouds. The clouds, I'm guessing, were some kind of marine layer. But what that tells us is we'll probably also get it coming into Monterey. The other thing I'm going to do is at this altitude I'm going to lean out the engines a little bit for fuel burn reasons, for cooling reasons, for not fouling spark plug reasons, all sorts of reasons. And for the moment, let's just enjoy the view. As we retrim a little bit here. There we go. Look, no hands. Need to fix the rudder trim a little bit, so I'm doing that now. Not doing it suddenly, there's no reason to. Throw on the yaw damper here, give us a little bit more stability in these winds. And square up our heading bud. We are in altitude hold mode, if I'm not mistaken. Just creeping up in altitude ever so slightly. Yes, we have. Up 40 feet. All right, and the controls have firmed up nicely. And now that we're in VFR conditions, let's give ourselves a fighting chance here of being able to see where we're going, not where we've been. And it looks like we've got wind, a little bit of wind, maybe from the left. Which would stand to reason, because that's the way we had it taking off. Let's find out. Yeah, a little bit of a left rear quartering wind. Maybe not quartering, maybe eighthing. Speed's a little bit low, but we're a little bit high and the air is a little thinner. And also this airplane is not yet corrected, the flight model is not yet corrected for X-Plane 11. So the drag numbers are probably a little bit off, and the engine power numbers are probably a little bit off. But now we just check our temps, check our pressures, check our fuel quantity. We're not leaking fuel, but we are leaking altitude there. And now we're up to 160. And let's see what we're doing over the ground. 182, so we got some wind pushing us from the back. Another reason why our tail is pointing down a little bit, because we're getting a nice little shove in it that way. Man, that looks good. Let's get back up to our 8,000 feet. We're flying almost due north. And we're making for that next valley, if I'm not mistaken. Let's find out. Yeah, and then we're going to make a left turn up that valley and then begin our approach. And let me just see what our distances are here. Again, I'm just one-handing this thing. I'm keeping an eye on the shop. Every once in a while tweaking the trim. Okay, so at Paso Robles we turn onto the airway. And as you can see, we wind shifted a bit and lost a little bit of performance. You know why? Because we're turning more away from that headwind, so it's going to be tailwind, so it's going to be really pushing us more on our tail now. So there's our turn. Try and keep it level. My controls are a little bit stiff here. As you can see, my horizon is cutting right about there, which is where it should be cutting for this turn in this direction. Turn in the other direction, it should be that cutting through the horizon. But I'm not pulling enough. There we go. Get our altitude back, square up our heading bud, around it comes, and we're coming in basically the back way towards Mount Dae. We're going to be going right over the famous Laguna Seca Raceway, which is now known by some like abomination of a name like Laguna Seca Mazda Spectrum Biochem Farm Techplex racetrack or some nonsense like that. Back on the magic line. So we got 23 miles plus, this is where an autopilot helps. You can go concentrate on something else. 23 plus 58. Oh no, it's 54 total to wiggle. And we want to be at wiggle, we want to be at 5,100 feet. And looks like we're following, I don't know if we're following the 5, Interstate 5, coming up this way. But I do know that once again we lost a little performance with that change of direction and got shoved downwards for our trouble. Alright, now the wind is coming right across us. Again, I'm fighting it a little bit much, which means I'm a little bit out of trim. Now, I know that whenever I go to the gym, but lose that. So, if our forecast is correct, and looking at the way xEnviro did San Luis, I'm not sure it is, but if it is correct, and I'm looking out there, there is a hellacious marine layer that seems to have rolled in, so I wouldn't be at all shocked if we're in deep feces by the time we get to KMRY, and I have almost no doubt that as we come in over terrain, flying by hand on a unfamiliar approach, we're going to be deeply illegal and we're going to bust some minimums. I mean, the way around it is not that complicated. What we could do is, since Monterey doesn't have a runway that really is suited, I mean, we could fly the ILS into runway 10 right. The problem with that is we'd have a 10 knot tailwind as we landed. That's probably not wise. The other thing we could do is fly to Salinas and shoot their ILS approach. That's not far away. But since we live for adventure, I think what we'll do is we'll just fly below minimums, of course. Naturally. Sound like that guy Durst from the documentary about all the women he murdered. What was it? I forget the name of it. What he said at the end. Killed them all. Of course. God, that was weird. All right. So here we go. Is that the Merced River? You know, I should know some of these things. It's one of my favorite parts of the world. I should know more about it. Matter of fact, I think the area from Monterey Peninsula all the way up to British Columbia is probably my favorite place on Earth. It's really, I guess I just like damp weather. So we're inbound for YokeCam. And just struggling with just the perfect amount of trim. It's being notably unforgiving today. I think as the wind is blowing around a little bit, we keep getting different pieces of the wind. That's just me speculating. Anyway, let's see. It's about 60 feet high there. All right, we are 39 from a Vigil, at which point we have to be at 5100. And now I'm going to have to start this ridiculous charade here of twiddling this knob as I'm flying the plane. And of course, there we go. No, 5100. Come on. Come on. There you go. Love you. Mean it. Yeah, I really should know what this river is. My apologies. I'm sure somebody knows, and I'm sure they'll chime in. And, do we want to get this approach plate up? I'm sure we do. And that ain't it. Maintaining altitude here by feel. Just not doing it by fiat. I'm climbing there a little bit. Alright. There we go. Boom. Boom. Alright, so 5100, 4100, 32. 300 feet per mile if we want it, or more if we need it. God, look at that. This is highly, deeply awesome. I mean, I just hope you know that. Activate the approach. Okay, we're direct wiggle, which we were anyway, and we could theoretically go down 9,000 feet in this distance. We only want to go down 3,000 feet, so we want to do it 10 miles away, so we want to do it 21 miles from now. And then at the waypoint after that, we can go down to 4,100 feet, and then 3,200 feet. And is that another airplane? No, it's an airport. And let's not depart our altitude yet. Oh, we're going to get there just at sunset. This is going to be really nice. Going to be lovey-dovey. So nice. Of course, I'm flying the flight director, but most importantly, I'm flying the ADI right here. If we were in the clouds, that would be my lifeline. That would be the first piece of my scan. The second piece of my scan would probably be a quick nod down here to confirm that this is telling me the truth. And then altitude, airspeed, and then vertical speed. But mostly this, a dab of that, always this. This will sort itself out, because if we were descending or climbing or in some unusual attitude, this would very quickly tell us really what this is doing. If it was decaying very quickly, we'd be inadvertently climbing, and we should see that on the ADI, and if we don't see it on the ADI, it means there's something wrong with the ADI. Then we got problems, and when we find a nice desert airstrip that's perfectly clear 365 days a year. Then actually we would use the standby artificial horizon. We would ditch the flight director. We would fly by this, that, and thank our lucky stars. Okay, so we're 24.3 miles from our initial approach fix. A small airport. I know not which. And as you can see, with nothing more than trim and a few minor adjustments from time to time, we're loading scenery here, which is why it's so jerky. We're doing a reasonably good job of holding our altitude with just the same way as you would hold your direction driving a car. Pardon me. We are going 178 over the ground. We're now 21 away, so we got about 10 miles till our TOD. And our TOD at this speed will be at about 900 feet per minute. Just add a 0, divide by 2, or multiply by 5, whatever you want to do. It's either 10 divided by 2, or, oh, this is the 101, not the 5. Okay. Now, here we go. Now you see it's starting to get oceanic here. So this is where it's going to get fun. This is where we are going to have us a big old time. We're going to be coming down just on the left edge of a valley, as you can make out just off right here. Here's the edge of the valley, and there's the beginning of the mountains. As we struggle valiantly to stay at 8,000 feet. But not for long. 7.5 miles down we go. Down goes Fraser. Down goes Fraser. Alright, let's get our weather for San Luis. And it is altimeter 3011. I mean, I guess. In the course of doing that, we lost 180 feet. One way I could tell we were losing that was that the engine note changed because we were speeding up, because we were going downhill. So even if you can't look at the instrument, there will be some cues that will help you ascertain what your condition is. Obviously, you don't want to go for the misleading ones, and there are plenty of those. At the end of the day, that's why you have this. so 3 miles from now, yeah, let's start going down now. All right, so we're going to get ourselves into about a 900 foot per minute drop. And I'm doing this by vertical speed. I'm going to let our airspeed build up a little bit. So I'm just going to push down until we get into that condition, and then do some trimming. Right. There we go. There we go. Giving it a nice little shove here. That's about right. Just trim so I don't have to work so hard. A little bit much. Pull back a little bit, right about there. Good. I'm sort of hands off right now. I just want to see where it settles. All right, a little bit not as aggressive as we need. That's better. There we go. And we're right on the edge of the green arc there. Coming down 1,000 feet per minute, 450, 100. Serious here, kids. In a second, we'll start to richen our mixture a little bit as we head towards wiggle. Get a little bit more wiggle room. No, I didn't say that. I really didn't say that. Just keeping our speed pegged. Settle into a nice steady descent right here. There we go. Okay, 1,000 away. And we should be hitting it almost on the bazoo. Oh, we're over some farmland, and there's the 101 beneath us. And again, we're not going to change our power settings one iota. Just level off and wait for it to stabilize. Get this sucker up. All right. 5,400. All right, so we have to stay 5,100 till Hixar. And at a Gale we can come down. Just going to start to level us out. Have armed 5,100, so that should automatically level us out. But I don't mean it'll do it for us. I mean it will automatically change our flight director. Oh, come on. Too much pull. Alright, I gotta fix that. Too much pull, and I just... depending on what the altimeter is, I just blew through that. Well, no. Because our altitude is 3011. So I'm actually above that right now. But let me just level out. Slow down. And next stop is Hixar, after which we can come down to 4,100. But if you believe the altimeter, the weather forecast, then we are way up there. I'm not sure I do. Because I don't think xEnviro is painting the right weather here. So, you see, the problem is I'm going to be conservative on this. The downside is I may be in the clouds too long. The upside is I won't hit any mountains doing it. So I stick with something like that. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. And I can't, because I'm hand flying right now, tune in ATIS and see if it's getting a different ATIS. Well, the problem is also that xEnviro is not using the same server that X-Plane is using to get its ATIS. So essentially we've got a dangerous condition here. Alright, now as soon as we cross Hixar we can come down to 4100, so I'm going to arm that as we stay at 5100 here. I'll be doing step downs all the way here. Okay, 6.9 to Hixar. It's going to stay at 5100 or above. This time what I might do for the descent, since it's a shorter descent, is I think I'm going to adjust power to do this, because I think we will be able to stabilize it and level out much quicker that way by introducing power and then taking it out. Alright, so here's Hixar. And then at Igeo, we can come down to 3,200. And that's the Salinas Airport right there, so if we really need to, we can... and that looks like Monterey right there, so, you know, we'll probably be okay, but this is not ideal, shall we say. Suboptimal, as the kids call it. Just retrim a little bit here. See, now I'm constantly going back to the autopilot to crank in descent rates here. And at some point I'm also going to have to arm the approach. Okay, we're going to want the vertical speed to be... not yet. Alright, now we can. Vertical speed to be... god damn it. You see what I mean? You know what? I'm just going to do this myself. Screw this. Alright. We will get ourselves in approach mode. We're not there yet. We will slow down at this point. We will enrich our carbs at this point. And we will get our props. Ah, look at that. We got vertical guidance. Hallelujah. Alright. Now we're basically just going to follow the flight director from here on out. Bring the props up. We'll even them out in 1 second. Retrim mightily. There we go. That's nice. We're on profile. Just going to slow down to a gear speed. There we go. And there's the runway. I mean, we can fly this visually if we don't get any X-plane weather surprises, but let's fly it down to minimums. Fuel is fine. Prop sync is off. Ever so slightly above profile. Let's get our heading bugs squared up. And again, this is going to be a greater than normal glide path. So now what I'm doing is I'm flying the flight director. I'm cross-checking with this and with this, with the raw data. Shows we're ever so slightly high. I'm going to get right to a gear extension speed. I'm controlling most of the rate of descent with power, but I'm refining it with pitch because it's faster. Okay, we're right at our gear speed. And, you know, maybe our old friend the marine layer will help us out here. Getting just a little bit low. A tenth of a dot. Get our gear out right now. One notch of flaps. And you notice how that settles us down very nicely. There we go. There's our runway, but we could lose it. I bet we do lose it. Okay, we're going to bring a little bit more power in. We're a little bit, we're half a dot low, so let's fix that. I'm going to hold about 500 feet per minute now. And that should bring it back in. I'm going to get our yaw damper out. Called it a yaw tampon. Alright. And we really don't want to be this low, so let's fix that quickly. I'm doing that with pitch, just to get it as quickly as possible. There we go. Not as smooth as I want to be. Oscillating a little bit here. Getting bumped around a little bit too. Look at that. Half a dot low. Alright, there's the runway. Let's just fly the airplane at this point. And we are going to be going for the runway on the left. Final flaps. Just going to slow us down a little bit here. Trim back. We could use the shorter one. Save them a little bit of grief. Yeah, let's do that. Uh-oh. Alright, trimming back, just a little low. Get rid of the flight director. Gotta map that to a key. Alright, slightly low, just about perfect on speed, especially for a short runway. A little on the low side of normal. Not a lot of wind to speak of, just a little bit of wind straight into our faces. There we go. Walk the trim back. Not very pretty. Back pressure plus braking. Up come the flaps. And the itsy bitsy spider. Well, whatever the itsy bitsy spider does. Alright, well, that was a dark runway problem, and I don't mean the problem was that the runway was dark. I mean the problem is that I misjudged it and need to figure out better how to deal with dark runways. All right. Anyway, that was not all obviously on steam gauges, but that was hand flown from beginning to end. And will continue to do flights like that because they're fun and they keep you on your toes. And if you've got toes like mine, they certainly can use the workout. So I think I'm going to leave it right there. I don't think anybody wants to see that landing. I basically flared late. No, you know what? It looks. You know what? Let's see it, because I didn't flare late. I think I flared early, and I didn't hear the stall horn, so I didn't. Probably didn't drop out of the sky. But let's see what happened. Get to enjoy this. Let's see. Get a nice view here. That's gorgeous. Dying sunlight right over the hills. Just a little expediting here. Alright, there we go. I'm betting I flared late. Well, let's see what happened. No, I think I just, you know what? I think I just chopped the throttle too quickly. Let's see. Yeah, flared a little bit late and not enough. Didn't want to float. Got scared. Lost my nerve. There's our back pressure to go with the braking. And actually, held centerline okay. Here, let's the old Y50 shot. You know, it's actually a very useful shot for forensic purposes in a sense. Because you can actually do a pretty good diagnostic job looking at it. So, let's see. There we go. Get ourselves right about there. Look at that. Look at the fog sneaking in here. I hate to say it, but the SkyMax people really need to do more work because this is just stomps all over it. I know. They're not 3D clouds, but they look more like clouds than the ridiculous cotton puffs that SkyMax has, or the grotesque sort of charcoal smudged cotton batting that X-Plane's got for its stock. Okay, that's reasonably good. But a wind. Yep, that's what it was. Flared late and not enough. Lost my nerve. That was a carrier landing, ladies and gentlemen. But, hey, these things happen. Alright, I'm going to take one more look here from the cockpit, and we can figure out what we did. Okay, 600 feet per minute. Yeah, it just didn't flare enough. Didn't flare enough and stayed on the power a little bit too long. And I had plenty of runway too. Alright, we'll work on it. And on that note, bid you farewell, and keep the suggestions coming, please, because it's fun. Meantime, now I'm going to order some Chinese food. Oh yeah. So until next time, bye-bye.